I'm Jennifer, and my life was supposed to be a quiet suburban dream. Perfectly trimmed lawns, a loving husband, and a cozy home to call my own. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, one I didn't see coming until it shattered everything I held dear. Each morning, I waved my husband off to work, never imagining that the silence of my empty house hid a sinister gaze, watching my every move. My heart races now, thinking about the moment I discovered the chilling truth, a betrayal so deep it turned my world upside down. What did I stumble into that day? And how far will it unravel everything I've built? Picture this. A morning so still, the world seems to hold its breath, as if it knows something I don't. The air in my little suburban bubble hums with a quiet I've grown too used to, a quiet that's starting to feel like a mask for something darker. I'm Jennifer, 29, living in a modest 2-story house, on the edge of a neighborhood where every lawn is trimmed just so, every mailbox painted to match. My husband, Mark, 32, is already halfway out the door by the time the sun creeps over the horizon. He's a sales manager, always chasing the next deal, working hours that stretch longer than our conversations these days. We've been married 5 years, and while I wouldn't call our life a fairy tale, it's steady, predictable, or at least I've convinced myself it is. Every day starts the same. I drag myself out of bed at the crack of dawn, my bare feet padding across the cool kitchen tiles as I brew Mark's coffee. The bitter aroma fills the room, a small ritual that feels like the only thread tying us together some mornings. I hand him the mug, our fingers brushing just enough to remind me we're still in this. And then I'm at the window, waving as his car disappears down the street. After that, it's just me and the silence. I'm a freelance graphic designer, which means my office is a cluttered corner of our living room, my laptop surrounded by half-empty mugs and sketches I'll never finish. I like the solitude, or I used to. It gives me space to think, to create, to breathe. But lately that space feels heavy. The neighborhood itself is the kind of place you'd see on a postcard, if postcards still mattered. Rows of tidy houses, each with their own little patch of green, and neighbors who wave a bit too enthusiastically, like they're keeping score of who's friendliest. There's Ethan, 34, living in the house next door. He's single, always leaning over the fence with that sly grin of his, dragging out small talk like he's got nowhere else to be. Something about the way his eyes linger makes my skin prickle, though I can't quite place why. Then there's Caleb, 30, who's over at Ethan's place more often than not. He's quieter, reserved, but his gaze is sharp, cutting through you like he's peeling back layers you didn't even know you had. I try to keep my distance from both of them, sticking to polite nods and quick hellos, but I can't shake the feeling they're always watching, always noticing more than they let on. Beyond them, the neighborhood is a predictable cast of characters. There's the older lady across the street who peers through her curtains every time I step outside, probably tallying how often I check the mail. There's the young couple a few houses down, always bickering loud enough for the whole block to hear. It's all so ordinary, so safe. After waving Mark off this morning, I feel that familiar weight of silence settle over the house. It's just another day, or so I think, as I head upstairs to start my routine. I need to clear my head before diving into my design work, so I decide to take a shower, hoping the hot water will wash away the lingering unease that's been creeping into my thoughts lately. I step into the small bathroom, the tiles cool under my feet, and twist the knob. The water rushes out, steaming almost instantly, and I slip under the stream, letting it cascade over my shoulders. The heat seeps into my skin, loosening the tension I didn't even realize I was carrying. I close my eyes, tilting my head back as the droplets patter against my face, and reach for the shampoo. The scent of lavender blooms in the humid air, wrapping me in a fleeting sense of calm. I work the lather through my hair, the ritual so automatic, it's almost meditative. The steam fogging up the small window above the sink until the world outside blurs into a hazy smear. But then, something shifts. It's subtle at first, a faint prickling at the base of my neck, like a whisper of danger I can't quite hear. My hands pause mid-scrub, suds dripping down my forehead, and my heart gives a little stutter. It feels like someone's watching me. The sensation crawls up my spine, sharp and invasive, and I can't shake it. I tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination running wild in the quiet of the house, but my body doesn't listen. I freeze, the water still pounding against my back, stinging my eyes as I slowly turn my head toward the window. Through the fogged glass, there's a shape, a shadow that doesn't belong. My breath catches, a tight knot forming in my chest, and with a trembling hand I reach out, wiping a shaky streak across the condensation. That's when I see him. Ethan, my neighbor, standing just outside, not even trying to hide, a bag of popcorn in his hand like he's settled in for some kind of twisted show. He's munching casually, his eyes locked on mine through the now clear patch of glass, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. My stomach twists, a sickening wave of shock and violation crashing over me. I can't move for a second, can't process what I'm seeing. It's like my mind is screaming while my body's stuck in slow motion, the water still streaming over me, forgotten. This isn't just a glance, not some accidental peek. He's watching me, deliberately, shamelessly, and the realization hits like a punch to the gut. My hands fumble, reaching for the towel hanging just outside the shower. I yank it toward me, nearly slipping on the wet floor as I wrap it around myself, my wet hair plastered to my face, dripping cold trails down my neck. My heart's hammering so hard I can barely catch my breath, the pounding in my chest drowning out the sound of the water still running behind me. I stumble out of the shower, the towel clutched tight around me, my mind a chaotic storm of anger and disgust. How dare he? How long has he been out there, watching me like I'm some kind of spectacle? The violation burns through me, igniting a fury I didn't know I could feel. I don't even stop to think. I don't grab clothes or shoes. I just move, driven by raw, unfiltered rage, storming out of the bathroom and down the stairs, the cold floor biting at my bare feet as I fling open the front door. The shared lawn between our houses stretches out before me, dewy and slick under the morning light, and I charge across it without hesitation. My feet slap against the pavement of Ethan's walkway, the sharp chill shooting up my legs, the towel flapping precariously with every frantic step. I don't care. All I can see is his face, that smug, unapologetic smirk as he stood there with his popcorn, like my privacy was nothing more than a cheap matinee. I reach his door, my fist clenched so tight my knuckles ache, and I pound on it, the sound echoing in the quiet morning air. "Ethan!" I scream, my voice raw, breaking with the weight of my anger. "Get out here and explain yourself. What the hell is wrong with you?" The door swings open almost instantly, as if he'd been waiting just on the other side. There he is, Ethan, standing in the doorway with that same infuriating smirk plastered across his face, not a flicker of guilt in his dark eyes. And behind him, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, is Caleb. They both look at me like they've been expecting this, like I'm the one who's late to some twisted game. My breath hitches, my chest heaving as I try to find words through the haze of my fury. "What were you doing out there?" I demand, my voice cracking, trembling with a mix of rage and humiliation. "You think this is funny? Watching me like some kind of creep?" Ethan just tilts his head, his smirk widening as he holds up a handful of popcorn, offering it to me like we're at a casual movie night. "Want some?" he drawls, his tone dripping with mockery. "You looked like you were putting on quite a show." My blood boils, a red-hot wave surging through me. I want to slap that smug look off his face, to scream until the whole neighborhood hears what he's done. Caleb doesn't say a word, but his intense stare cuts through me, pinning me in place with an unsettling weight. They're so calm, so unaffected, and it unnerves me more than I can stand. I feel like I'm unraveling, my emotions a tangled mess of anger and something else I can't name. I take a step back, ready to storm off, to call the police, to do something, anything, to reclaim control. But then it happens. The towel, damp and barely holding on through my frantic movements, slips. It falls to the ground in a heavy, wet heap at my feet, leaving me utterly exposed right there on Ethan's doorstep. My hands fumble, scrambling to cover myself, my face burning with a shame so intense it feels like it's searing into my skin. I can't move fast enough, can't hide from their gazes. Ethan's grin turns predatory, sharp and hungry, while Caleb's eyes darken, his stare so piercing it feels like it's stripping me bare in ways beyond the physical. I should run. Every instinct screams at me to grab the towel and bolt, to lock myself in my house and never look at them again. But I don't. Instead, in a moment I can't explain, fueled by a volatile mix of adrenaline, anger, and some dark, reckless impulse buried deep inside me, I step forward. My bare foot crosses the threshold of Ethan's house, the cool floor under me a stark contrast to the heat raging in my veins. The door closes behind me with a soft click, shutting out the world, and what happens next is a blur of regret that I can't even begin to untangle. I'm sitting on Ethan's couch now, the worn fabric scratching against my skin through the borrowed shirt I'm wearing, one of his, oversized and smelling faintly of cologne, and something musky I don't want to think about. The air in this room is suffocating, thick with a silence that presses down on me like a physical weight. My hands are trembling in my lap, fingers twisting together as if they could somehow undo the last hour, as if they could rewind time and pull me back to the safety of my own home, my own life. But they can't. What I've done, what I've let happen, sits in my chest like a stone, heavy and cold, sinking deeper with every breath I take. I can still feel the heat of their gazes, the way my own reckless choices spiraled out of control, leading to a moment of weakness I can't take back. It's not just a mistake, it's a betrayal, one that cuts deeper than I ever thought possible. Ethan lounges across from me in an armchair, one leg slung over the side like he hasn't a care in the world. Caleb is leaning against the doorway to the kitchen, his arms crossed, that same unreadable intensity in his eyes as he watches me. They're so casual, almost smug, like this is all part of some sick game they've been playing for longer than I can fathom. Ethan pops a piece of leftover popcorn into his mouth, chewing slowly, deliberately, the sound grating on my frayed nerves. "Relax, Jen," he says, his voice smooth and taunting, like he's enjoying every second of my unraveling. "You're acting like the world's ending." I want to scream at him, to tell him that for me, it might as well be. But my throat is tight, my words trapped behind a wall of shame and fear. My mind keeps circling back to Mark. I can see his face so clearly, his trusting smile as he left for work this morning, the way he squeezed my hand and said he'd see me tonight. He has no idea. No idea that I've shattered everything we've built in a single, stupid, impulsive moment. The guilt is a living thing inside me, clawing at my insides, making my stomach churn with nausea. How could I do this to him? To us? I disgust myself, sitting here in this stranger's shirt, the memory of what transpired still burning on my skin like a brand. I want to scrub it away, to erase every trace of this morning, but I know I can't. It's part of me now, a stain I'll carry forever. And then there's the fear. The icy, creeping dread that's starting to take root, whispering questions I don't want to face. What if Mark finds out? What if someone saw me storm over here, half-dressed and frantic, and starts asking questions? What if Ethan or Caleb decide to talk? My eyes flick to them again, searching their faces for any hint of what they're thinking, but they're unreadable. Ethan's smirk hasn't faded, and Caleb's silence feels like a weapon, sharp and pointed. How long have they been watching me, really? How long have they been planning whatever this is? The thought sends a shiver down my spine, my hands clenching tighter in my lap. I feel like prey, caught in a trap I didn't even see until it snapped shut around me. Ethan leans forward suddenly, resting his elbows on his knees, his gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that makes my breath hitch. "You know," he says, his voice low, almost conspiratorial, "we've been seeing you through that window for weeks. Quite the view, Jen. It's been entertaining." My stomach lurches, a fresh wave of nausea rolling through me. Weeks. They've been watching me for weeks. turning my private moments into their twisted little hobby. The violation of it, the sheer audacity, makes my skin crawl. I want to bolt, to run out of this house and never look back, but my legs feel like lead, pinned to the couch by the weight of his words. I stumble out of Ethan's house, the borrowed shirt clinging to my skin like a reminder of the mess I've made. My legs feel like they're made of rubber, barely holding me up as I cross the shared lawn back to my own door. The morning air bites at me, sharp and cold, but it does nothing to clear the fog in my head. My heart's still racing, a frantic drumbeat that won't let up, and every step feels heavier than the last. I fumble with the key, my hands shaking so badly I nearly drop it, and when I finally get inside, I slam the door shut behind me. The sound echoes through the empty house, a harsh finality, and I turn the lock with a click that feels like it's sealing me in with my own guilt. I lean against the door, my breath coming in ragged gasps, my chest tight like it's being squeezed by an invisible hand. I can't get the images out of my mind, the way things unfolded over there, the reckless abandon that took over me in a moment I can't take back. It's like I've stepped into someone else's life, someone I don't even recognize. I need to wash this off, to scrub away the weight of what I've done. I drag myself upstairs, peeling off the shirt as I go, tossing it into a corner like it's contaminated. The bathroom feels smaller now, suffocating. The fogged-up window a cruel reminder of how this nightmare started. I crank the shower on, the water hissing as it heats up, and step under the stream without waiting for it to warm. The cold shocks my system, jolting me for a moment before it turns scalding. But I don't care. I grab the soap and start scrubbing, harder than I should, my skin turning red under the pressure. I want to erase every trace, every lingering sensation of what happened. But no amount of water or soap can touch the shame that's burrowed deep inside me. It clings to me, sticky and unrelenting, a stain that won't come out no matter how hard I try. Even as the steam fills the room, clouding the mirror, I can't shake the feeling that I'm not alone. My eyes dart to the window, half expecting to see a shadow there again, even though I've pulled the curtains tight. The paranoia gnaws at me, whispering that I'm still being watched, that privacy is a luxury I've lost for good. I step out of the shower, wrapping myself in a fresh towel, but the house feels different now, like it's turned against me. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes, sends a jolt through me, my nerves frayed to the breaking point. I tiptoe through the hallway, peering around corners like some intruder might be lurking in my own home. My mind keeps spinning back to Ethan and Caleb. Are they still over there, laughing about what happened, plotting their next move? Have they been scheming this whole time, waiting for the perfect moment to pull me into their web? The thought makes my stomach churn, a sickening mix of dread and disgust. I can't trust the silence anymore. It feels like a lie, hiding something sinister just out of sight. I double-check the locks on every door, tug the curtains even tighter, but it doesn't help. The walls of my safe little world are crumbling, and I'm trapped inside the rubble. I'm in the kitchen now, trying to steady myself, gripping the edge of the counter as if it can anchor me. My phone sits there, silent and mocking, a lifeline I'm too afraid to touch. What if I call Mark? What would I even say? The truth is a jagged thing, too sharp to handle, and the thought of his voice, his confusion, his hurt, cuts me deeper than I can bear. I'm still lost in that spiral when the phone pings, a sharp sound that slices through the quiet like a knife. My heart stops for a second, then lurches into overdrive as I snatch it up with trembling fingers. It's a message from an unknown number. No name, no context, just a photo attachment and a line of text. I'm standing in the kitchen, my fingers still trembling as I stare at the phone in my hand, that ominous ping echoing in my mind like a warning shot. The message from the unknown number glares up at me, the photo attachment unopened, the single line of text chilling me to the bone. Come back over. We've got something to show you. My stomach twists, a nauseating blend of dread and curiosity clawing at me. I know I shouldn't go. Every rational part of me screams to delete the message, to block the number, to pretend this day never happened. But the weight of what I've already done, the secret I'm carrying, pulls me like a dark current I can't escape. What if they've got something worse? What if ignoring them makes everything spiral even further out of control? My breath is shallow, my pulse a frantic rhythm in my ears, as I slip on a pair of jeans and a hoodie, the fabric feeling like a flimsy shield against whatever awaits me next door. The walk back to Ethan's house feels like a march to my own undoing. The afternoon sun is high now, casting harsh shadows across the lawn, but it does nothing to warm the cold dread seeping into my bones. My sneakers scuff against the pavement, each step heavier than the last, until I'm standing at his door again. My hand hovers over the wood, hesitation gripping me, but before I can knock, the door creaks open. There's Ethan, that same sly smirk curling his lips, his eyes glinting with something dark and knowing. "Knew you'd come," he says, his voice smooth as poison, stepping aside to let me in like this is just a friendly visit. My skin crawls as I cross the threshold, the air inside thick with a tension I can't name. Caleb's there too, perched on the edge of the couch, his sharp gaze slicing through me as if he can see every thought racing through my head. The room feels smaller this time, the walls closing in, trapping me in their twisted little world. Ethan gestures toward a laptop on the coffee table, its screen glowing faintly in the dim light. "Take a look," he says, his tone almost casual, but there's an edge to it, a promise of something sinister. My heart thuds painfully as I lower myself onto the couch, my hands clammy as I lean forward. Caleb clicks a folder open, and my breath catches in my throat. Photos. Dozens of them. Not just from this morning, not just from that humiliating moment in the shower, but from weeks of my life. There I am, sitting at my desk, lost in my work. There I am, cooking dinner in the kitchen, oblivious to the eyes on me. There I am, in moments so private, so personal, that seeing them captured like this feels like a violation deeper than I can put into words. My hands shake as I scroll through the images, each one a punch to the gut, stripping away every illusion of safety I've ever had. How could you do this? I whisper, my voice breaking, barely audible over the roar of panic in my head. Ethan chuckles, a low, chilling sound, as he leans against the armrest beside me. "You've got a nice life, Jen. We just wanted a front row seat." His words slither over me, making my skin prickle with disgust. I turn to him, tears of anger and horror burning in my eyes. "Delete them. Please. I'll do anything. Just get rid of them. Mark can't see this. He can't know." My voice cracks on the last word, desperation spilling out of me like blood from a wound. I'm begging, and I hate myself for it, but I'm out of options, cornered in a way I never imagined possible. Ethan's smirk doesn't waver as he exchanges a glance with Caleb, a silent agreement passing between them that makes my stomach lurch. "All right," he says finally, dragging the word out like he's savoring my misery. "We'll delete them, but there's a catch." He leans closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You'll have to. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you."